You already know what it is. GMOG Sports TV back with another one. All right, family. Real quick recap of the Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul fight. I watched that fight, including the entire undercard. Undercard is pretty dope, actually. I think the fight of the night was Montana Love versus Ivan Baranchyk. That was a dope ass fight. Montana Love, man, he did his thing. He did his thing. He fought through adversity. Got rocked a couple times. I thought he just moved around too much. Like his coach was saying, why are you moving, man? Stay in the pocket and just slip and use your defense. And when he was doing that, catching him with counters, that worked. So every time, Baranchyk would come in and lunge with his punches, he would counter and, clip him. And that's what happened. But that was a dope fight, man. That was a fight of the night. Montana Love gained a lot of fans, man, and that was a great showcase. I like that. I like that fight. Another good fight was, or a showcase fight was Daniel Dubois knocked out that guy. I forgot his name, but he was fighting. Daniel Dubois did his thing, knocked that guy out. That's exactly what Tommy Fury should have done with that freaking Anthony. I forgot his name. Anthony Clay, I believe, MMA fighter. Tommy struggled. Tommy did not look good in that fight. If you want to call out Jake Paul, and I'll get to Jake Paul in a minute. I'm going to talk about that fight in a minute. But, Tommy Fury struggled with Anthony Clay. He won, of course, on points, but he should have got that guy out of there a long time ago. He shouldn't have got him out of there a long, long time ago, man. It was a struggle fight. He made the Fury family of boxers look bad. You know what I'm saying? He did not look good in that fight whatsoever. The ladies were fighting as well. Watched that fight. That was a pretty good fight as well. Yeah, like I said, I watched pretty much the entire undercard, so it was pretty decent, man. And I would say, leading up to the fight, Showtime did a pretty good job with the PR, promotion. They really hyped up the fight. Paul versus Woodley. That was a really good PR run that they did. I'll commend them for that. I'll give them props for that shit. That was a really good PR run. I watched the face-off they did. That was entertaining, where, Jake Paul was, Tyron Woodley was talking about, why you dress like that? Does anybody in your neighborhood dress like that? And Paul was like speechless, like, you know what I'm saying? That was a viral moment, man. So yeah, there was a lot of viral moments leading up to the fight. Even when they did the weigh-in and Jake Paul tried to steal Tyron's hat and it failed. That was another a viral moment as well. So it was pretty good, man, leading up to the fight, man. Got a lot of people intrigued and stuff like that. All right, so main event, Paul versus Woodley. Thoughts? Immediately. Right off the bat, you can tell that Jake Paul was inexperienced. Let me tell you something with boxing, man. Every move counts. Your feints, your hezzies, the punches that you miss, the punches that you think about, everything counts. That's called muscle memory. I'm gonna keep saying muscle memory. You can't play boxing. This stuff takes years to develop. That's why the greats, boxing, people who are boxers, professional boxers, they start from a pup. They start young. You don't come into the game in your 20s and talk about your professional boxing. You can't play boxing. And it shows with Jake Paul. You can't play boxing, bro. You got people like Jalen Love and BJ Flores who come from the TMT Mayweather elk, trying to teach him the game of boxing. Don't get me wrong, Jake Paul has fundamentals down. He has the fundamentals down in boxing, but he doesn't know anything about movements, because every move that he does tired him out, which is why he got tired after 4 rounds. Same thing with his brother Logan Paul. These guys don't know. These guys don't have the muscle memory to discipline themselves when it comes to endurance and enduring that within 12 rounds. Couldn't even make it past 4. Case in point, look at Andy Ruiz Jr. When he was big, 300 pounds, right? Oh, damn near 300 pounds, whatever. You ever see that man get tired? Right? fat as he was, or I know he's trying to lose weight and all that stuff, as fat as Andy Ruiz Jr. was, did you ever see him get tired? Did you ever see him gas out? You know why? Because he has muscle memory that he developed since he was a child boxing. Every movement he does, he knows how to retain his energy, retain his endurance based on what he does, right? Because your body's used to certain movements and stuff like that. They know, it knows what to do to make sure you maintain your endurance and your stamina, right? So that was crucial. The Paul brothers don't have that. You know, when Logan Paul fought Mayweather, he gassed out within 3 rounds. When, of course, last night, Paul fought Woodley, gassed out within 4 rounds. Completely tired. So I say all that to say this. Yes, you know, Jake Paul threw more punches, landed more punches. He did not hurt Woodley one time. Woodley was not hurt at all. Was not in trouble whatsoever. Woodley rocked Jake Paul. I think it was the end of the 4th round. He rocked him a couple times, landing that right hand. The problem is that Woodley, he's very limited as a boxer, man. You know, he has a lot of potential if he gets more reps in, but he's very limited. He doesn't let his hands throw, doesn't set up traps. Is not an inside fighter. Every time he throws punches, especially that right hand, he lunges in and clinches. Makes no sense. Paul's not an inside fighter, and you didn't establish that. There was so many ways that you could have broke him down and knocked out Jake Paul. You know, it's basically like they're calling Tyron Woodley the Adrian Broner last night because he wasn't letting his hands go. There were so many opportunities where he let Jake Paul off the hook because he wasn't throwing enough punches, basically. So it's basically a fight that Woodley lost. It's more of a fight that Woodley lost than Jake Paul won. Jake Paul won by split decision, but it was a fight that could have easily been taken over by Woodley had he decided to let his hands go and fucking get this guy out of there because he was dead tired after 4 rounds. Couldn't do a goddamn thing, right? So, in the grand scheme of things, like I said, you can't play boxing. So all of these guys, these YouTubers, the Paul brothers that want to come into boxing and calling out top-notch fighters, you see that they were exposed last night. They don't deserve to fight these top-notch fighters like the Canelos of the world, you know, and stuff like that. You can call out retired fighters that are past their prime, like Mayweather. Sure, probably, yeah. Right? Yeah, you can call out guys that are past their prime, but guys that are, you know, pound for pound greats, no. You're not deserving of that. You're never going to deserve of that kind of fight. Beat a real boxer. Beat a journeyman. You know what I'm saying? You guys can't even beat a guy in the top 20. And I highly doubt they'll beat a journeyman. Now, I'm not even talking about a gatekeeper in his own weight class, which is cruiserweight. And a cruiserweight, I mean, Paul, you know, as in Jake Paul, a journeyman will stop this guy. Just get a guy who comes forward and applies pressure, a pressure fighter, get him out of there. You know, Woodley was just relying on a knockout. He wasn't trying to set up traps and throw combinations and you know, fight him on the inside. He wasn't doing any of that. He was just trying to look for that one punch, which was not good because, you know, his activity, you know, the judges want to see activity. They want to see punches being thrown. They want to see who's the busier fighter. And the busier fighter, especially by jabs, because, you know, Paul was throwing a lot of jabs, lazy jabs at that. And he lets his hand. There's so many ways you could have knocked this guy out. He throws his jab, which is lazy, right? He keeps his lead hand low. After he throws his jab, you can counter right over the top and get him out of there. You can slip his jab and counter over the top. Pivot and counter him with a hook. But he tried to do a couple times, but caught him with a lot of hooks as well, the check hooks. But you need to set up more punches, man. Set up more punches and let your hands go, right? He was just too cautious and trying to worry about one knockout, right? And too defensively sound. I mean, defensively sound, yeah, but just basically too weary about Jake Paul's power, right? Which, of course, like I said, you know, Woodley was not in trouble in that entire fight. He was not in trouble whatsoever. It was more so Woodley lost that fight than Jake Paul won the fight, right? And everybody saw it because you see the memes. The memes that are going around between that fight is the round that Woodley nearly knocked Jake Paul out of the ring. If it wasn't for the ropes, Jake Paul would have been flown out of the ring. The rope saved his ass, and that would have been a knockdown or a knockout. But the rope saved his ass, right? Anyway, fam, those are my thoughts on that. Leave your comments down below, family. Till next time, signing out. Peace.